Hey there, my name is Deason. I'm going to be doing my presentation today over stress. I'm slightly stressed right now because I couldn't find a room in DSU to present this, so I'm in my room. I know this doesn't have the best lighting, but we'll make do. With that being said, what is stress? Stress can be clearly defined as pressure or tension exerted on a material object or a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. Around 44 to 49% of Americans have moderate to high stress levels. That's almost half of us. The main reasons for most American stress are, in order: number one, money; number two, work; and number three, family responsibilities. And that is followed by relationships, personal health, and personal safety. But there are things that we can do to help prevent these. Okay, the first one I want to talk about is taking on too many things. A lot of people take on many things, not just at home, but also at work and everything else, including extracurricular activities. A lot of the reason for this is people do not like to disappoint the people close to them. Doing this can habitually prompt you to worry about anything and everything excessively, and that can lead you to not being able to figure out how to accomplish any of it. When you attempt to take on too much, you can likely lose the capacity to put forth as much effort as you would be able to. A solution for this could be to know your limits. I know a lot of us try to do as much as possible because some of us like to keep ourselves busy, but limiting yourself can be a huge stress reducer. All right. Second thing I want to talk about is time. Even though you may be able to complete many of your tasks throughout the day, you can still find yourself not completing everything you would like to. Often this can result from the demands that you are given, but in reality it is from not having your priorities straight, and also it could be from poor time management. A solution for this might be to manage your time better. You may try to schedule your things out better, maybe with a calendar, or maybe with a planner. I use a planner. I try to use a planner, and it helps me reduce that stressor. All right, the third thing I want to talk about is a healthy lifestyle. So some people turn to things like fast food or not eating at all due to lack of time, trying to manage everything else. Eating is huge. It's very important to do. Other people just choose having an unhealthier lifestyle because of how stressed they are. Smoking, for example, is a common example for this. Having a healthy lifestyle is a huge factor reducing stress at home and in the workplace. A solution for this may be to try to eat healthy and try to slowly change things to obtain a healthier life. Eating right and exercising too are good stress reducers, and I'll talk about exercising here in a little bit. The next thing I want to talk about is not accepting things. Often people do not realize there are just some things that we cannot control. Sometimes when you try to change things that you cannot help, you create even more unnecessary stress. The time you spend stressing about these things that you can't control could be time spent on more important things, causing your stress in the first place. Simply accepting things you have no control over is a simple way to overcome this stress factor. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is kind of a big one, is problems at home. If a relationship is strained at home, then there is a greater chance that you'll be stressed about it. Often it has to do with conflict or disagreement about ways to do things. Most people feel as if they have to prove their point to relieve some tension they have, when in reality it's just building up worse. Avoiding disputes in your home can lower this factor for stress. Even if you have problems at home, you could try to maybe either avoid them or resolve them at home, because it'll just keep building up the stress. I know I sometimes have problems at home, but I try to, like I said, either avoid them, but I know that's not always an option, or try to resolve them. Even if you can't, just try to brush it off as best you can and move on and try not to let that stress you out too much. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is relaxation. Even if everything that is causing your stress is out of the way, it will not mean anything if your body does not have time to recover. Continually going with everything you do can enhance the amount of tension you have with yourself. It will keep building as well over time if it is not taken seriously early. A solution to this is simply take time out and relax your mind and body. Some people do yoga or they have classes, and that's known to help, and that's part of relaxation. Sleeping, that's another way of relaxing. Just sitting back and not worrying about everything else sometimes is a stress reducer as well, and it'll all just help. Another thing, something that not everybody might think about is humor. Some people do not see the light in things because they are so overly stressed. Laughter boosts the immune system and also decreases stress hormones. Some people may even go as far as thinking that there is no humor in anything, and this can lead to even more stress. Simple solution: laugh a little more. All right. The next thing is life changes. When things change that we are used to, this can be a major cause of stress. When you have a change like having to move jobs or even getting fired can be some of the most stressful things you have to do in your life, which is also the reason people try to avoid it and the process leading up to it. So facing new challenges with an accepting attitude is a good way of avoid this kind of stress. Everybody has life changes. I'd be surprised if someone said they've never had a major life change. We all have them, but it's how we learn from them and build from them is how we control and get past our stress better. All right, the next thing, specific things. There are always going to be specific situations that we are stuck in that cause us to become stressed or angry. An example of these might be stuck in traffic or being in a store or mall. These are things that are unavoidable but continue to cause stress even if we don't think about it. A way to eliminate this stressor is to either try to avoid these situations or approach them as a challenge you are willing to overcome. I know we can't always avoid situations. I know that during the summer when I go to work in Nashville and I don't wake up early enough, I get stuck in traffic and it ticks me off, and the whole way there I'm mad and it stresses me out. But I'm trying to work better on not getting stressed out over it because I don't want it to affect me at my job. I know that's hard, but facing it like a challenge and just saying, I'll get through this. This is just a grain of sand compared to everything else can majorly help, and it can help avoid it. Stressing about that. The last thing I want to talk about is non-work related things. Stress can be caused by outside things like moving, family sickness, or even being in debt. Sometimes these things cannot be avoided, but we can try our hardest not to ignore them and deal with them, and this can build up a lot of stress. When we try to cope with these things instead of trying to deal with them, that is where the problem lies. A solution for this can be taking time off from your job or even changing your schedule can help. I know we all run into life changes. People get sick, family gets sick, being in debt. I mean, I'm a college student. I'm not the richest of the rich, but I'm not going to let that stress me out. I try not to let it stress me out, and I try to face it as a challenge, kind of like the other that I mentioned. But that's the last slide I have. All these things, I know there's a lot more stressors than I've listed, but just these things alone, if you face them as a challenge and you just take them step by step, can eliminate a whole lot of stress, and it can relieve you tenfold. So that's all I got. So thank you.